Confederacy of dunks. Toronto Raptors. Scotty B. We the North, baby.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks basketball podcast. I'm your host, Freddie Rivas, here with Raptors Republic, and flying solo tonight. No Andy. We'll see how I do, but I'm in the safest possible hands because I think officially like my actual partner in crime. It's been a long time since you've been on this podcast, but obviously we're not strangers. You know her from Buckets and Tees. She's amazing. Unique, incredible basketball opinions. That's why we're good buddies. Shout out Cathryn Naiker. What's up, Cathryn? How's it going?
Hi, Freddie. It's good to be here. Too bad Andy couldn't make it tonight, but during your birthday party, which happened early June, Andy was like, how come you haven't been on the pod in a while? Like, how come you haven't been on Confederacy of Dunks in a while? And I was like, you guys stopped asking me to be on the show. And then we had a whole conversation about it behind your back at your birthday.
That seems about right.
I made that sound way more dramatic than it really is.
Yeah, it was probably like not like behind my back in like a bad. Like,
no, not at all. I just
physically
decided
behind my back.
I just decided to make it sound more scandalous than it really is.
Good. We got to add stakes to things. You know, I'm very pro adding stakes to things, especially things that have no stakes at all.
Yeah, but we finally made it happen. You know, we're here.
We're here. Me and you were here. Literally.
Oh, I can share this with the Confederacy of Dunks audience. So you took a Polaroid of me with your son Remy, and I keep it by my desk because where else am I going to keep it? So it's right here for people to see. This is me and Remy hanging out.
Oh my god!
Yeah. I'm very sentimental. Beautiful. So you know, I'd love another Polaroid with him someday.
Listen, you deserve another Polaroid. You deserve many Polaroids.
I actually want to get one. I want to get one of those cameras so I can do Polaroids with my nephew.
It's a very good gift. I got it for Mother's Day. Let me tell you what, the camera.
You got it for Mother's Day?
I got it for Caitlin for Mother's Day.
Oh, okay.
I bought it for myself for Mother's Day.
That's a gift for yourself, though.
It is. You know what, though? Here's the deal. We've what the hell? Sorry, I thought there was a spider on me. One of my best episodes ever, by the way. There's a giant bug lands near the camera, and I just absolutely couldn't concentrate. And Andy lost his mind laughing. Because I'm not a bug person. I straight up panic. But
you don't kill bugs?
I'll kill them if they're like far away and like I have like a safe sort of like runaway.
Oh my god! So Caitlin kills the bugs in your house.
Caitlin kills the bugs.
Oh my god!
She's the bug killer in the relationship.
I mean, what is even the point of being in a relationship as a woman if my man isn't killing my bugs?
I know. Listen, Caitlin does so many of the manly things, like drywall. Like she really fucking is hype.
Drywall.
Yeah, Caitlin's for real, man.
That's impressive.
We had a leak and she did this like cement mixing thing. She's nuts, man. She's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, but you know what? I clip Remy's nails because she can't do it. So there's a trade-off.
All right.
Yeah. If you're here for the basketball, you'll get some.
Hey man, it's mid-August. You know, it's mid-August.
It's mid-August.
Come on.
And you know, I think the freshest thing that happened that everyone is still freaking out about, rightfully so. It is a major Olympic moment. It's a major basketball moment. And you know, we talked last night in our W pod about France, and like, you know, we can talk about that a little bit, but I want to focus on like the moment that was Steph Curry and the brilliance of the 4 threes in a row and just the dramatic fashion they happen. Like I'll just give it to you. What's your feelings on that moment, on where, you know, Steph is at?
Well, I mean, I love Steph Curry. I always have. I've always loved the Warriors, except for the Kevin Durant years. I'm one of those people, but I think like there was a lot of hate for Steph for a long time, right? Not by me, not by necessarily all your listeners or anything like that, but just, a lot of people have been hesitating to put this man in like the top 10 or even top 5 greats of basketball. And I feel like this summer, I feel like, not that that's completely switched, but I think people are like, hey, man, we're never going to see another player like this ever again. This is a once in a lifetime talent, and we got to appreciate him while we have him. Like, I feel like we've gone from critiquing Steph to just, remaining in awe. And I think being more grateful and present and in the moment. And I guess that, that kind of goes, with LeBron and KD as well. Like, just being like, let's appreciate these guys while we still have them and while they're still brilliant, because, father time, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I feel like that's the kind of conversation we're having now around Steph. And then I don't know if you want to talk a little Warriors or not, but I'm very like, trade your young talent, Warriors.
Yeah,
What are
I
you
saw you
doing?
tweet that the other day.
Yeah, because I'm just like, look, like most teams, you don't want to do that. Obviously, trading your young talent away is dumb. And, they've been, James Wiseman aside, they've been pretty good at it. And I just feel like, look, if Steph Curry winning another championship bankrupts you for another 5 seasons in a row, it won't matter. It'll be worth it. Like, it really will be worth it. And I think they have to do everything it takes. I think they have to give, very little. Do we swear on this pod?
Please.
I think you have to give very little fucks about the aprons. And you have to care a little bit, because there's rules beyond just like the luxury tax. There's like, I believe there's like rules now in terms of like what you can and can't do. Like, they're trying to limit your flexibility now.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's got an extra punitive.
Yeah, but obviously that you have to care about. But like, this is one of the richest franchises in sports, and one of the richest
richest right now.
Yes, in one of the richest cities in America. Like, spend the money. Just do it now, because you're never gonna have this again. And they would be so stupid not to take big risks right now, I think, with Steph being 36 years old.
I think you're just bang on. And, I feel like with Clay leaving, it's like even, that's even truer. I want to go back to what you said, though, about people kind of like there being times. It happens with a lot of greats, I guess.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity, I brought up like a complex article of like 2023 and like top ranked players ever. And all these lists are so debatable. And they have a classic Kobe way too high on this list.
Right.
But like they have, it seems like pretty comprehensive in general, right? They have Steph at 10. Where not like forget about like where he will finish or whatever. Like, to me, what's interesting about what you said is like people were sort of like off of Steph for a long time. Like, what do you think, considering like we're in this period where we're going to appreciate him, we should appreciate him. He's about to go. It's like even a lot of the haters that, when they hate people, their last couple seasons, they're like, I guess I'll kind of like him because I am going to miss this. So like, what do you think that momentum was? Like, why did people not appreciate Steph?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I think like his size, the outside shooting, he's not, a traditional point guard. I don't know why people don't.
No, those are all. I love how you say you don't know, and those are the 3.
Those are my best guess. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's my
those
best
are
guess.
great.
But like, yeah, I mean, to me, like,
he broke a lot of like traditional stuff, like molds.
Yeah, like his shot is so beautiful, and to have watched basketball as long as you and I have, like since childhood, to suddenly like I'm talking about like 10 years ago now, to watch a player like Steph leave me in awe. That's saying something, because 10 years ago you and I had been watching basketball for like 15 years, let's say,
Yeah.
give or take, right? So to be like, oh, you leave me in awe every time I watch you at least once a game. Like, I remember feeling like the last time I ever experienced that was early Vince Carter with the
Mhm.
dunking, right? So it's like, to me, to be that electric, and then now, so many championships, et cetera later, like he's become, one of the most influential people in all of basketball. Certainly the most influential in the modern era,
Mhm.
right? Like, because it's like all these guys now, especially the guards, it's like they all want to be Steph Curry,
Yeah. It's
right?
interesting too you bring up dunkers, because I think like that is like the modern like the
Yeah,
electric
he's made
dunker.
the 3-point contest more exciting than the dunk
Yeah, I
contest.
was right about to say that. Like in his, era,
Mhm.
there's basically like the 3-point contest has surpassed the dunk off,
Mm.
in a lot of ways, and also like the style of play. Obviously, he's like like there's so many reasons why it happened, but he's the face. Like the Warriors are. Yeah, you can do the whole sort of like basketball tree and like go through all the Mike D'Antonis and the George Karls and like the whatever, like, even Van Gundy with the Magic, like the driving kick and stuff. But like the Warriors made, I mean, like Charles Barkley, like all these guys that used to say like a jump shooting team can't win it all. And
Oh,
which is always weird
everyone
because
used
the
to
Warriors
say
were sick
that.
on D. They're always great on D. But like,
Yeah, they
yeah.
always said that. They always said you can't, live and die by the 3-pointer, right? Like that used to be a cliche that we would hear in basketball broadcasts, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And now you don't hear that anymore. Now it's like, well, if you can't hit the 3 at this percentage, what are you doing? Like he's changed everything. And like I just feel like, because the Warriors sucked so much this past season, no fault of his, of course. I mean, it was great to see him in a high stakes, high pressure moment again, which, in my opinion, is where he belongs. And it would be like, look, I love Steph so much that I feel like it would be sad for the game of basketball if he isn't in another real championship run again. It's just
Yeah.
sad for the sport.
I agree. And I think we saw that like he deserves to be there. Like he can still hit a fadeaway 3-pointer off, like with two people guarding him. He can shoot over Wemby. He can.
And
It's
that
insane.
photo,
The
that
photo.
photo
It's
is
crazy.
like, we've kept saying, hang it in the Louvre like all Paris Olympics, but this Olympics did have a lot of iconic images like that. And that photo of him shooting over Wemby, I feel like is going to be in highlight reels for like a generation. You know what I mean? Like every Olympics, it's going to come up in like those past highlight reels. Like we're going to see that photo again. It's just
Yeah.
unreal.
You also touched on this is like pivoting from Steph a little bit, but you touched on LeBron and KD as well.
Hmm.
And I think this conversation is going to be had over and over and over. With where the U.S. is at and the world coming and all that kind of stuff. But is this sort of U.S. championship? Like, are you feeling Americana? Like, you know what I mean? Is it this like sort of, because like, you look at like Ant and Tatum and, some really, really incredible up and coming American players. And like, you got to assume that's going to keep coming. But you wonder, like, are we going to be having these conversations about those guys? Are we going to be like, I watched Tatum play. I watched Ant play.
Mm.
And I didn't, like I didn't like waste any time, like, stealing an idea from LeBron. I didn't waste any time like not being a witness.
Right.
Like KD, LeBron, Curry, like I was like, and me personally, I might have had a little bit of hesitation with Steph, but not really. I was pretty excited pretty quick. And by the way, like I'm not like putting my hand up. I was like, I made a lot of bad calls. I was like slow on Luka. I
Mm.
famously was like, I think Deron Williams is better than Chris Paul. I was one of those people. I was, and then it was like, and then I got wrong and more wrong and more wrong, and then I was like, yikes.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, do you feel like this is going to end up being this like very nostalgic time for American basketball?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I'm going to say yes, because I think having LeBron, KD, and Steph on the same team is just on another level, right? I mean, it goes back to having like Kobe and LeBron on the same team, which was that 08? Was that
I think,
Beijing?
yeah, is that the Redeem team?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
always get
I
it
think
mixed
so.
up if that was that or 2012. I think that was 08. And
Yeah, because like the Vince Carter KG team, that was the team that lost.
yes, that's right. And then of course the Dream Team. But like, yeah, because the thing is that as the game, and I don't want to step too much on another question you have coming up, but like as the game is growing, the NBA's biggest stars are not necessarily going to be American. And there's a lot of talk within US media, and I've talked about this a little bit on my podcast too, right? About like, the Stephen A's of the world being like, we need the face of the NBA to be American.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with that at all. But I will say, like, Jokic and Giannis and even Luka to some degree do not, at least currently to this day, have the star power of those three guys. Neither does Jason Tatum. But maybe like that will change in the next like year or two. We'll see, like, maybe it's Anthony Edwards and Wemby kind of emerging. We'll see. Maybe it'll be Shea, right? But like, yeah, I feel like we're in that era. Like, remember when like Jordan retired and everyone was freaking out, like, who is the next Michael Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we might be in that sort of world for a couple years where we're like, we actually don't know who the next great star of this league is. And then, it was Kobe, but
Yeah, totally. And I think
like that might be a 2026 talking point,
yeah, I mean I love thinking about these basketball legacy things, and like what's so interesting about the legacy of Kobe is that like he was kind of like he was like sort of a carbon copy, although still very different, in a lot of ways, of Michael Jordan. Meanwhile, you had like a better player in Tim Duncan that just didn't look anything like Michael Jordan. And then you also had Shaq, who didn't look anything like Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, Shaq was definitely a face of the league, no question.
Yeah, he was very much a face of the league, but it wasn't.
I'm kind of correcting myself just saying that, but anyway.
No, Shaq was a face. Kobe was a face. But like to your point, like some people like kind of like don't want that moniker. Like even MVPs, right? Like Steve Nash was a 2-time MVP. Dirk was an MVP, but both those guys, like they kind of didn't. They didn't sort of like wear that in the same way.
Yeah, and Jokic
LeBron
is like that now.
Yeah, there's like I think there's a difference between being like a legacy guy.
Did you see him with his horses again?
And a statesman. Who, Jokic?
Yeah, he went back to Serbia and did a thing with his horses today. No joke.
Oh, did he like hug him or what?
No, there's like a photo with him and like his horse and like his daughter like on his shoulders.
Oh, I love it.
I love that. I actually really love Jokic.
Me
like
too.
Every time I see a photo of Jokic doing something not basketball related, like drinking a beer with his shirt off or something, I'm like, I love this man.
Here's just like here's a hot Jokic take, because I was having an argument with my little a basketball argument with my little brother Thomas.
Hi Thomas.
Hey Thomas, what's up? But this is what I do with my brothers. We argue about basketball, right? Like, and he was like, I don't like that Jokic like doesn't care about basketball. Like, everyone loves that he goes to like Serbia and he's like chilling with his horses and drinking and partying and like he doesn't care about basketball. And I was like, dude, do you think Jokic doesn't care about basketball? Like, you simply cannot be that good at basketball without caring. So it's like I get the viral idea. I get that Doncic, he goes and he does his own thing, whatever. But it's like, these guys, they are obsessed with and like Tim Duncan got that kind of shit too.
Well, this goes back to the whole Kobe thing, right? Because Kobe his whole like persona was like, I live and breathe basketball
Yeah.
and that's it, and I'm a competitor, and I'm,
Yeah.
I'm
He's like
almost a
he's like a
robot.
Jimmy Butler type.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. That was
But
it.
yeah, it's these guys who are sort of like, you'll only ever see me with the basketball. The only thing I do is basketball. And, very early in his career, we'll see. But like Wembanyama has a little bit of this kind of like Tim Duncan style, like I'm insanely good at basketball, but also like,
I'm gonna
like
read like 5 books a month.
yeah, I read books. I don't like
Yeah.
Vegas. Like, you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of different types of champions. So, yeah,
This is going to be slightly controversial, and if anyone disagrees with this take, that's fine.
get in there.
The way Thomas feels about Jokic,
Mm-hmm.
I sort of felt that way a little bit about Kawhi, in that I didn't love him being so like robotic and so like monotone. Like a part of me is like, and that's not to say he didn't care, right? But like this whole like, oh, like he's just a robot, whatever. I was like, I kind of like when my
Emotion.
star is showing some emotion.
For sure.
Yeah. But I mean, you are who you are. Like, I'm not like, but that wasn't like, people loved that about him. And I was like, it's not my favorite quality personally.
I'll say this, like as a Raptor fan, this is a Raptors podcast, and we'll get to some Raptor stuff, but we got to start with the basketball at large right now. But I think for me, the single most exciting thing about this like new era, which I'm not very optimistic on the win total next year. Which is funny. I feel like I get labeled as an optimist a lot, and I'm hearing people talk about this Raptors team, and I'm like, I'm not so sure I see them, cracking 30 wins. But the thing I think I'm the most excited about is Scotty Barnes is absolute huge emotional personality, and I love it. Quickly dances after he shoots. Grady Dick's big personality. RJ is like, he has that sort of like quiet anger. And then, obviously we got like Pirtle, but he's like, he's like the classic person who like doesn't, he's a good counter to like people who care,
He's a good counter.
Well, I mean, like it's fun to have a bunch of people who have big personalities.
Oh, you mean like an energy balance, like a balance?
Yeah, like someone who's
yeah.
He's like the opposite of like caring.
That's so
I mean?
funny.
Like, that guy at the party who just doesn't say anything the whole time, and you're like, dude, what's up? Are you stoned? Okay, yeah, let's stick with the world here, and lots of conversation about this French team. We've talked about it, like sort of this French basketball revolution, like how much, I think they're exemplifying like how much talent there is in the world. And I think the person who is really driving it home the most, like, so there's the guy Cormier, I think is his name, but like really Gerson Yabusele, who, by the way, was in the NBA. And I can look up for how long. I'm gonna guess off the top of my head. I'll say it later, but I'm gonna guess. I think it was a 2-contract guy. I'm gonna guess 5 seasons. We'll see how close I am, but and apparently he's already. I think he already has like waived, or he's getting a buyout from Real Madrid. So like I think he probably will make his way back to the NBA this year. So maybe he's not the best example. But to me, he's a good example of like how talented certain guys who aren't in the league are, and just like the overall depth of talent. And there's tons of guys like him, right? And there's expansion talk all the time, and we'll see when that actually happens, and the expansion of like roster sizes. And just as a fun theory question, I wanted to put it to you, like, what is a way that the NBA maybe could creatively showcase like this talent around the world that's clearly emerging? Like, that at some point basketball is going to be in the same conversation as like cricket and soccer. Like obviously not the level of those two, but it's pushing past like the American football and baseball and obviously hockey.
So this question is actually, in my opinion, is sort of what makes you an optimist.
Okay.
Because I don't think Adam Silver specifically is interested in showcasing how great basketball is all over the world. You know what I mean? Because I think because your question is like, oh, like what could the NBA do, or what could we do to showcase all this amazing talent all over the world? I don't think the NBA wants to do that, because
they want to hoard the talent.
They want to hoard the talent. Exactly. They don't want to show you all the great talent that isn't in the NBA. They want to bring it to the NBA. And then, international expansion is its own conversation. But with that being said, one thing I think the league should do, and
I think you're right, by the way.
Yeah, I just, Adam Silver is he's a money guy. He's a money first, money second, money third kind of guy. And with all that being said, what I think the league should do, and people have talked about this a lot, and that is NBA All-Star Game should be USA versus international.
Yeah, which they've done before.
When?
But they've done it a couple times, but not recently. Like I think the last time was like 5 years ago. Like now it's like really
the All-Star Game, like the All-Star Game.
The All-Star Game, yeah.
Are you sure?
I will Google.
Let's look this up. But they should do that. It needs to happen, and it needs to happen now, because for all the talk about like how do we save the All-Star Game, it's like that would add a competitive edge to everything, especially after these Olympics, because I don't think we're going into 2028 thinking like the US just has it and it's a sure thing. I think that conversation's over. And I think people are going to go into basketball 2028 Olympics being like, this is going to be competitive. And I think that would be a really fun thing for the NBA to do, that I think showcases international talent, but it's still like all their talent.
Yeah, so a couple things. I think you are bang on. I feel like to rephrase my idea, like, not so much a benevolent showcase, but I think that like in the same way that the US, like, we talked about this with the W, like they want to be the league and they don't want any other league to like be close. They want it to be like, if you're good enough, you have to prove it. You have to come to the NBA, like as a way to like, I'm thinking about it as a way as well to like to monopolize, to continue monopolizing the NBA and being like, this is like, we're going to expand when necessary to make sure that Gerson Yabusele or like, Frankie Nicolatina or like whatever, like that we don't have a scenario where guys that are like, playing elsewhere, like Real Madrid are not in the NBA. Cause like, I mean, it's not that long ago where, Luka wins MVP of the EuroLeague and doesn't get drafted first overall. Like he's 18 years old and he wins
and got traded on draft day
right? And people were like, yeah, is he actually going to be good? And it's like, oh man, he's like, is he actually going to be good? He's like, he's sort of like, he's so good that it's actually kind of making.
Yeah, maybe that was a little like people were thinking about like Ricky Rubio or something. I don't know.
I think, it has happened. There's been like international guys that like haven't really sort of like.
But the draft is such a like, who the fuck knows? Like
crapshoot, yeah.
Yeah.
My idea was like, we have NBA Africa, right? And like that's like this like growing thing. And I think you're never going to have a situation where, let's say, a competitive team like whatever, like let's say the Lakers. You're never going to have a situation where you can have these like exhibitions where the Lakers play, Maccabi Tel Aviv and they really try, or they like bring everyone, like maybe LeBron plays like 10 minutes or something like that. But I think, there could be something to having some sort of like, in the same way that they have like the G League Ignite, is if they had some sort of like, some type of like G League All-Star like tournament that brought in these other teams from around the world. So it's sort of like, we'll almost do like a mini sort of like basketball World Cup that's like about the NBA, and then that way you kind of have like these like G League type teams. You get to have a training camp and showcase, and like it's sort of like it still buoys the NBA.
I wonder if those teams would be insulted by that. Probably like, oh, you want us to compete against your G League?
Well, here's the deal. I think they probably would, and
that's the point.
Well, no, I mean, if those teams like smack the G League teams, then I think that would be, I think they would be like, all right.
I mean, if it's the lineups we saw this last week, I think they would.
Yeah, right. They might.
But maybe like, I don't know, like maybe like ESPN just gives the FIBA game more time, like more like airtime and more like presence on its network, and it becomes a talking point on First Take and things like that, like
yeah okay, let's do a little bit of Raptors. It's dog days of summer. I found a good Raptors Rapture article by Josh Cornelison. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Josh. And I liked it because it said 5 expensive players the Raptors could take back in a Bruce Brown trade. So, with Bruce Brown's contract, there's a decent amount of money. So lots possible. And this conversation, Cathryn, is not for us to kind of like, overly scrutinize like the types of players mentioned here. But I just want to, I'll just sort of like rifle through, or, maybe I'll throw it to you first, actually. Like, from this article, is there any player that stuck out to you as like, forget about if it's possible or likely, just as something that you'd be into, like you feel like they could fit in with this current team?
I mean, what I would be, I think, respect to Bruce Brown, but it's low-key a little shocking he's even still on the team. Let's be real.
Oh, it's
right. So to me, it's like
low key,
like it to be like, oh, like what would I be happy with? And it's like the bar is a little low for what I'd be happy with. But this article talks about a trade for Brandon Ingram, and that's probably the biggest get we probably could get. I don't think that would be just a Brandon Ingram for Bruce Brown trade, like 1-for-1. There'd probably have to be more involved in that. But that's a very interesting fit to me. I know a lot of people in the comments might have different opinions on that, but I like that. That really intrigues me. Other names that have been floating out there, Andrew Wiggins. Personally, I don't want Andrew Wiggins on this team. It's a weird situation with Wiggins because it's like we don't know what he's going through. We know he's having personal issues. Zach Lowe said they were, quote, serious. So he knows what they are and he's not disclosing them, which is fine. That's not necessarily our business. But it's been going on for 2 full seasons now. And I just don't know what he would bring to this team, or if being in Toronto, being, quote unquote, hometown, if this would actually like revive him or not. Like, it's just so hard to say. I just feel like watching him over these last 2 seasons, and like I even had him on my fantasy team last year because I thought he was going to rebound last season, and he didn't. And it was like, it was disappointing, but it was like almost hard to watch because it's like we know how good he can be, and it just isn't there. And it's not like, oh, he's recovering from this injury or that injury. It's like, no, it's like this is just an emotional weight that is on him for whatever reason. And I'm rooting for him, but I wouldn't say today, August 12th, 2024, do I want him to be a Toronto Raptor.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think like I've always, had a soft spot for Wiggins, and like I think perhaps because there's been so many Canadians that have come before him that have had like expectations, like and not worked out, and to see him go from being like Maple Jordan to being like traded from the from the Cavs to the Timberwolves before he ever played a game, and then to kind of like figuring himself out with the Warriors and like winning a championship, like as a really important, like arguably second best player on that championship team
Yeah.
in that run. Like I think,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't say he was better than Draymond that year or anything like that, but yeah, it's I all that said, like I don't think it's an RJ Barrett like well, I mean, we'll see if RJ's is good, but like I don't think it's an RJ Barrett like new scenario, like right time, he'll be inspired type thing. Like I think like to your point, it's like there's deeper issues there. And I'm not very interested in him. Brandon Ingram, I think, is the most talented player of this list that Josh discusses. The guy where I'm like, wow, I really like, I don't see the Nuggets doing this. Like, I don't know how, like, I feel like it would be them sort of, maybe it's like an apron thing and it's a money thing, but I feel like this is them pivoting too hard from their championship run. But one name that's mentioned was Porter Jr. And I think because of the shooting specifically, I'm kind of like, if there is like, again, to your point, like this isn't just like none of these trades are just Bruce Brown, right? Like from the money standpoint alone, also they're not just gonna, they're not just gonna like.
Well, that'd be
give
wild
us Porter Jr.
to go from Jonte Porter to Michael Porter Jr.
Oh
after
my god,
everything that happened.
I didn't even fucking think about that. That's so incredible.
I mean, not that Michael Porter Jr. had anything to do with it, but that would be pretty wild.
That would be pretty wild. That would absolutely be incredible. I totally forgot about that. Another guy is DeAndre Hunter, who I gotta say, I'm just like I'm not really into as like a player for this team or a player at all. Like he's got skills, and I just don't really think he's been like nothing from what Atlanta's done in the last like couple years, like since that run, has impressed me. So like I don't know who warrants the stink of that team, but I'm not looking at anyone on that team being like, grab that guy,
I think with all that being said, I don't think the Raptors are necessarily in a place of like they have decent leverage, but I think like the world knows they're trying to trade Bruce Brown, you know what I mean?
Totally.
So it's like their trade partner, if we're going to get like a really good deal, so to speak, out of this, would have to be like even for Brandon Ingram to be traded, like that is on the assumption that the Pelicans are blowing it up and they're moving forward without him. Those are massive what ifs, right? Because otherwise, why would they make that trade? So yeah, I mean, I don't know who that team is going to be. I don't know who the next team that's going to try and, tear it all apart, or, maybe they see Bruce Brown as like a, an extra, oh, this is a difference maker for a championship kind of thing. I don't know who that partner is going to be, but
well, I think that's a good segue, because I feel like the most realistic guy, or the guy I could see being like the most like sort of pound for pound, like maybe I could see the Lakers making a case and maybe the Raptors are interested, is Rui Hachimura. He's the guy on this list where I'm like, I feel like this. I'm not super interested in Hachimura for this team, but it does seem to me like if there was a more plausible scenario that included Bruce Brown, it could be like him, I guess, other places as well. But what do you think about Rui?
I like Rui. I think he I believe that article said that his contract is pretty big. Like he's possibly a bit overpaid. But yeah, I like Rui. I don't know what his ceiling is. I feel like not that the Raptors are going to be making a deep playoff run or anything like that. But I think on a team that is good enough to make a deep playoff run, he is at best coming off the bench. He's still young. We don't know what his ceiling is yet. He's a forward. I think he can play center. So that might be intriguing for us because, Kelly Olynyk is, at the tail end of his career. So yeah, I wouldn't hate that trade at all.
Yeah. And just to sort of like round back to something I said I was going to do. So in 2015, the Rising Stars Rookie Challenge was USA versus the World.
Oh, okay, that's different.
So that's so different, and it makes sense that it did happen, and I couldn't reference it because I feel like if it actually happened for the All-Star game,
yeah, we would know.
And that makes a lot.
Like what? But sometimes, Freddie, like you'll tell me I'm wrong, and then you'll say it with such conviction, and then you're really
hot.
wrong.
Yeah, listen, I come in pretty hot. And sometimes I got to check myself.
Like when you told us that our WNBA podcast has a website, and I was like freaking out. I was like, what do you mean we have a website? I had no idea we had a website. He was referring to a link tree. And I was like, a link tree is not a website.
Yeah.
And it was
a big learning lesson for me.
It was a solid 5 minutes at least on our podcast.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I tried to just like slide it in, and you were not having it.
No.
Like I tried to just like be like, yeah, Linktree website, and you were like, no. Let's like pause the podcast. Let's sort this out. A Linktree is not a website, and then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no worries. Anyways, it is a website, and you're like, nah. Like we're just gonna have to like.
Because I thought when you said we have a website, I'm thinking a full-on website. Like a website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like an actual website, like not like what I was saying at all, which is not a website. By the way, check out this. They did it from 2015 to 2021, and man, some of these like, they did it the Rising Stars Challenge. Some of these like teams are pretty good, like.
Mm-hmm.
So like check this Team World 2016. Bogdanovic, Capella, Hazonia, Jokic, Mirotic, Moutier, Raul Neto, Porzingis, Dwight Powell, Wiggins, Lyles. Like, you know what I mean? Like they definitely they had some guys on.
Shea. Oh wait, I guess Shea was older at that point.
I don't think Shea ever made like a Rising Stars Challenge.
That's crazy.
Like, he's a late bloomer, right?
That's fair.
At the time that he was, would have been making a Rising Stars Challenge, the Clippers were like, yeah, you can have him. And the Thunder were like, great. We traded Paul George for a guy that's going to be better than Paul George. Sick. And check this team out. So this is 2015. Steven Adams, Antetokounmpo, Bogdanovic, Deng, Exum, Gobert, Mirotic, Olynyk, Schroeder, Wiggins, Nurkic, Dellavedova, Papa Nicolau. Wait, but by the way, how crazy is that? 2015 that Jokic wasn't on the he didn't make the Rising Stars Challenge as a rookie.
Yeah.
But he wasn't that late of a bloomer. Like he got cooking pretty quick. But there was this brief time where people were like, I think Nurkic is better than Jokic. Okay, let's
not in my algorithm. Anyway, yeah, that's my solution. We got to fix. I think that would make next year's All-Star game more interesting.
That's a great idea, and way less complicated than my elaborate G League World Cup.
Yeah. I tried to pivot from that politely.
Yeah, you did. You did a good job. Okay. I sort of like skipped over this, but this is a fun ender actually. So, me and you both love all forms of nostalgia. This. I don't know if this is a hot take, but people are really excited about these purple jerseys, and you put me at a 2 out of 10 for that. Like, first of all,
with the new logo, with the new 30 logo.
I should say this: I like it. I'm excited. I hate the chevrons, the black. I'm like, why are we black? Gold. I'm like, sure, but I don't care. Red. Never liked red. Never liked red.
Oh,
I never liked the like we're red, we're Canada's team, and it's like no. To be Canada's team, we have to win. That's how you're Canada's team. Plus, Toronto's blue. Don't get me started. Okay, so purple Raptors, love it. That's good, but it's not getting me like super. I'm not like that jazz. I want more nostalgia. So, Cathryn, what's your like? What's a previous Raptor thing? Anything that you're bringing into this 30th season for nostalgia purposes?
no, I want you to go first while you're on a roll here.
Yeah.
I want you fired up. I want to know.
Good.
I want to know two things. I want to know why you don't think it's enough.
Sure.
I'm not
Okay.
saying it is enough. I just want to know why you don't think it's enough. And I also want to know what you want the team to bring first.
Okay. So here's what scares me. When you're making a really big deal about like your jersey, that sort of tells me like you think the team's gonna suck.
Okay.
And you think it's gonna be a bad year. So you're like, hey, it's the 30th season. Like,
Well, we
for
already kind of know that. Like
we
the
do know
expectations
that.
are not high.
And for the 25th year, like we were awesome, right? So like, but like there is this element of kind of like it seems like they're going hard on the marketing in lieu of like actually having like a really good product on the floor. So that to me is kind of I'm like, I don't know, man. But yeah, so I think that's the main reason I'm not super sold on it, because I'd rather just have like a good team. But what was your second question? Oh yeah, well, what's my idea? So the biggest one is Sprite Zone. So I want the Sprite Zone back for this year, because fans have gotten priced out forever. I want Sprite Zone prices, and I think that would be really big, sort of like
they'll never do it.
They'll never do it, right? Obviously, because MLSE is like, lose money? Absolutely not. We're gonna have a different jersey every night.
And Sprite, Sprite isn't even the sponsor anymore.
No. But I think that type of vibe I would really like to see. Maybe throw Rod Black on a couple broadcasts, like
yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. Like I wouldn't mind them integrating some
bring Leo back.
He's like, I'm still here. Poor Leo. He's like, I'm in TSN studio, and you're like, bring him back. He's like, I never
on the play-by-play.
Yeah.
But I'm just teasing. I only said that because anyway.
I think those are my main things. I'm trying to think about things that like I have experience as like as a season seat holder that were like really like remind me of the old times. Yeah. What do you got?
I was thinking more like, well, okay, like on my podcast we've talked about retiring Vince's jersey like multiple times and things like that,
which seems like it's going to happen.
Yeah, but I think aside from things of that nature, I wasn't thinking about bringing the past back, but I was thinking of like new creative, like not merch things, but neat little cute things. Sure. Like so for example, like like old school like fish and chips wrapped in a newspaper, but now we don't do that. It's like a nice clean sheet of paper, but it's like a fake newspaper.
Yes.
That would be really cute if it was that, but it was like old headlines from Raptors lore.
That's cool.
Right? Like in the food stands and stuff like that. Right? So it's like different kind of like unique souvenirs. And then you could bust out the old bobbleheads if you want. Like I made a joke like years ago, they were having like a Morris Peterson bobblehead night. And I was like, why are we are these just like leftover bobbleheads from like a previous
bobbleheads would be huge
bobblehead night? You know what I mean? I was like, this is so random.
I had a Chuck Swirsky bobblehead. Bring back the bobbleheads. Like, come on.
We could do the Funko things or like, different kind of like collections like that, but sort of like unique sort of memorabilia that would be special to just this year that doesn't necessarily have like the 30 marker on it. Like I think
That's cool.
I think that kind of nostalgia would be fun.
Okay, that got me thinking. What about, for like order and like organization, you keep the numbers of the sections, but what if you name the sections after Raptors greats?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like I'm in 309.
We only have so many greats.
That's true. It would be like, where are you at? It's like, I'm in the Boucher section. It's like, where the fuck's that, man? You know what I mean? Like it'd be like, I'm in Nathan July corner. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
What about also like in the concourse? Here's what I'll say. Like, yeah, I took my father-in-law to a game a year and a half ago, and
does he like basketball?
Yeah, huge basketball fan.
Oh, really?
We went to a Grizzlies game, and we just got like, it was like we got eviscerated. We got blown out in the first quarter, and it was like a blowout the whole game. So, not a good game.
This past season?
2 seasons ago.
Okay.
Jaw put on a show. So
right.
Yeah. What about like for nostalgia purposes? Like when you walk around and you see pictures of like Mopeet, Capono, like whatever, and it's like they seem like all just sort of like randomly in like different spots, and it's obviously mixed with the Leafs. And what if it was a bit more organized and it was kind of like it took you through the years?
Oh, yeah.
So like as you're walking down the concourse, it was like a bit more organized, like by year.
That's cute, like a interactive like timeline.
Yeah, like even it can even be subtle. You don't have to say like
dark times though.
Yeah, for sure. There would definitely be like, yeah, exactly. There would be like the
there's not gonna be like Hito Turkaloo night, like
totally. It'd be like
Turkaloo bobblehead. I'm
grabbing a beer. You want to meet me at halftime? It's like where are you? I'm standing near the Roko Ukic poster. I think I don't know. Yeah, I'm near the Joey Graham. I'm getting popcorn near the Joey Graham poster.
Oh my god, yeah, that might be a lot. But I like an interactive timeline thing that you can like walk through. I think that'd be really cool. And then I think like you could do like the TV screens with like older TVs and then like newer TVs.
Oh shit! Okay, here we go. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think this is off season, so let's
listen, Masai, Bobby, we're here. We got ideas.
Masai,
hire us.
Masai,
bring us
Bobby,
in.
Hire us.
Bring us into a boardroom one day.
Kathy Engelbert, commissioner of the WNBA. If you're listening to this, bring us in.
We'll do more for you than AI ever could. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Cathryn, you're amazing. What's up? What do you got going on? What do you want to plug?
Not much, man. We got our podcast, the Pickup WNBA podcast, available everywhere. We're doing that weekly. We had some technical issues this week, but we're usually up every Monday. The show's on YouTube now, so find us. If you Google pick up the Pickup WNBA podcast, you cannot just type in the Pickup. You will get Pickup artist things, and that is the last place I want to send any of you to. Okay, if you want pickup tips, we can do another podcast about that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Pickup WNBA. We'll be covering that throughout the rest of the summer. Really exciting time. The league starts again later this week. We'll be heading into the playoffs soon, all that good stuff. So now's a good time to jump in. Buckets and TNBA show on Fridays. I have a feeling that this week might be my last episode for the summer because I don't know what else is going to be happening now that we're post Olympics. But
we're going in a big time dry season here.
Yeah, which is
be
fine.
That month and a half before like training camp starts.
Yeah, I think I might take the next 6 weeks off of covering the NBA, as every NBA analyst does. This is their vacation time, and maybe do a fun like under-overs thing and hop back into it.
I absolutely love it. yeah, so for listeners to this pod, I'm cooking up. We still gotta see how we're gonna make it work, but I think I'm going to do a Raptors NBA quiz, little quiz tournament. Might even be some money involved. Might be a jersey.
Online or in person?
As a podcast, as a little 3-week series. Plus, Andy runs trivia nights on Wednesday at the Smith House every last Wednesday of the month. So, we might
that's
really
super exciting. That's a great idea.
right?
Congrats
So
to you.
if you are Cathryn, please do it.
Yeah.
I'll get some RR peeps, and if you are a listener and you're down and you're interested, hit me up, because if you're not a complete weirdo, I'm down to have a. Well, if you're a bit, I'll take some weirdos, but if you're not
good with weirdos generally.
yeah, if you're a pickup artist, peace out. But if you're yeah, exactly, if you're decent, then I'll have a look. But yeah, subscribe to Raptors Republic, support everyone, and give all these hardworking writers and podcasters love and comments and subscriptions, and
positive
reviews.
comments.
Yeah, positive, all that good
or
shit.
constructive criticism.
Sure.
Don't just be like, her voice is nasally. There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that to Cathryn. Okay?
You can if you want.
Don't do it. Fine. Don't do it. Okay, cool. Thanks so much. See everybody next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace out. Thanks, Cathryn.
Bye.
Bye.